It's why the world's ending today. It's why the world's ending today. They'll talk about anything, but mostly why the world's ending. It's why the world's ending today.
I woke up this morning with a little bit of a headache from all the wine drinking that was done.
Sure.
And I laughed again at those corny ass jokes I read you.
They were so bad I had to leave your apartment.
Yeah.
That's-
But I know that you enjoyed, and it's funny because I was told by a colleague of mine one of these jokes.
One of your work colleagues?
One of my work colleagues.
Okay.
I'm a nanny, so my work colleagues are children. But the one had a really funny joke for me. I really loved it. And then you were trying so hard to think of the answer, and you couldn't. And then when I said it, you got mad.
Okay, so let's back up a bit. So today we have a very special guest.
We do.
Where is he?
He is out. He's coming in soon. But in his place, we have Dave Neal.
That's more like it.
Yeah.
Get the same intro from my family.
Right. So we have someone exciting, and also Dave is here. So Dave, we're doing research, and it's as part of the research for the podcast, Galena decided to tell me that one of her work colleagues had told her a dad joke kind of thing.
I love it.
So
Do you want to hear it? And I'll see if you can come up with the answer for it.
Sure.
definitely
All
this
right.
is going to be good for the listeners for
This
sure.
is, I love it so much. All right, Dave. What do you call a fish with no eyes?
I don't know.
That's
Oh,
fucking
boy.
okay.
Okay.
So she told me that one.
It
and
brings
so
me joy.
Are you supposed to try to guess? I never understood what my purpose of those jokes are.
That's exactly what I was trying to do. So she would read the jokes, and I was like, I don't want you to tell me. I have to fucking answer the question.
He got really stressed out by the one that was, what do you call a psychic little person evading the police?
Oh, okay, yeah,
black midget.
That one. So that's my thought. I thought.
He was trying so hard. He got up and walked away from me.
And then I
And
punched
he
her in
still
the face.
couldn't get it. And the answer is a small, medium, at large.
Hey, folks.
That's so upsetting.
That's
so
a lot.
upsetting.
That's layered dad
All right.
jokes.
So, welcome to Why
My
the
favorite
World's
kind.
Ending Today.
Yeah.
You were listening to a wonderful collection of dad jokes told by three comedians who are world class.
World class.
By the way, I
here.
love this setup you guys have. We're in a basement of the greatest comedy venue in the world.
Yeah,
This is true.
The world could literally be ending, and we wouldn't know.
that's
We
fine. We
wouldn't
can stay
know.
down here forever.
Because the Comedy Store is protected by ghosts.
Yeah, by ghosts that will save us.
And thick lead paint.
Yeah, that can withstand a nuclear blast.
Definitely ghosts, though.
Yeah, ghosts for sure. Paint
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
I've watched a really, really large rat. I didn't know that they could crawl vertically. It was on the patio here, the bar patio outside.
Where
here
was
at
it
the
crawling
Comedy
on? The
Store.
stucco?
It was crawling on the stucco across the top of the patio bar.
When
Jeez.
was this?
This was within the last year.
What time of day?
At night. It was night.
Were
It
people
was a
here?
Monday night. People were here.
And there's a huge rat.
And our dearest sound guy in the other room,
Dr. Mike
was knocking it down with a broom,
Mm.
and he was trying really hard to knock it into. It was an empty beer box,
Okay.
and this thing was like stuck to the wall, just running across the
Jeez.
wall, and the broom wasn't getting him. And finally, after a while, the broom finally got him, and he falls down to the patio. And I've never jumped so high. I jumped on top of one of those bar tables, like just in one
Would you
leap.
rather have a roach or a mouse or a rat?
Oh yeah, good question.
Because I'd
Ooh, a
rather see a
roach.
rat than a
Yeah,
roach.
roaches can go
No,
fucking
they're
straight
so
to hell.
fast.
Roaches
They're
can
so
go
fast.
straight to
Roaches
hell.
are
Well, they're all fast.
they're crazy. They're aliens.
They're aliens, but anyway, this rat like runs so fast across the patio, out onto the street, makes it across all 6 lanes of Sunset Boulevard.
Good for him.
And he made it all the way to the House of Blues before it was torn down.
Where he
And-
died when they tore it down.
Probably. But at that point, I was so impressed that it evaded all that traffic that I was like, you know what? You go, girl.
Go ahead.
I heard that coyotes can read street lights. Swear to God.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
That
they
does
live
not
in
surprise
LA.
me. Yeah.
They live in they don't like commute
Wow.
down from the hills. They live in our city.
Yeah.
And they know red, green.
Have you seen a bunch at night?
Not at night so much.
I see them all the
I
time.
see them when I go hiking.
Yeah.
Big ones.
I see
Wow.
I see them around my apartment. There was one that was just casually sleeping in someone's backyard, and I was walking by and I saw it, and it looked up at me and just went back to sleep. And I was
Well,
like,
there's
all
a
right,
lot
you
of
do you.
like foliage where you live.
True. I live in the forest. So on today's episode of Why the World's Ending Today.
Did we even say who this is? This is
No.
Galena Ravina.
And this is Michael Burnett, and with us for the
Is
first
Dave
time we have a
Neal.
guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Dave is a comic, a host, a podcaster,
Yeah.
a cute guy.
Well, That's what the mustache is for. I'm trying to bat the ladies away.
It's yeah. You must be having a hard time because I would be inside of you so fast.
Well, now guys are hitting on me.
That's good.
Whoa.
I go to Crunch Gym in West Hollywood. I've never had men hit on me, but now I have a mustache and they want to like share the squat rack.
Well, because
they're
it's
being
like that
helpful.
Starsky and Hutch, like kind of like groovy, sexy 70s
Yeah,
stash.
there's that
so.
mustache ride aspect to it where
Right.
people are like, "That's a weird thing," but I'm interested.
Yeah, that's why I had you on the podcast to talk about the mustache.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So give us what's your deal? What do you do? What's going on with you?
I host Sex Actually, the podcast. I've had Galena on way back in the day. You need to come back, and I know I've wanted you on. I just get myself in trouble. I share old sex stories, and my
Yeah.
girlfriend hates me now, and she's on it, so I have to censor myself. And we just, it's what I've learned is I'm worried more about what fucked me up than like family. Like I talk more about family life. Like how do you ever wonder that? The older
Yeah,
you get, you're like, how am I the way I am? Why am I neurotic about this and not this? And
Yeah.
was I hugged too little or too much?
Right.
Because that's what it comes down to: is how often were you hugged? Was
Yes,
it
like
enough?
in those formative years, was the amount of love given to you exactly what was supposed
And
to
they
happen?
say this, that female comedians weren't hugged enough by their dads, and male comedians were hugged too much by their moms.
that.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Big generalization, but most people are like, that's kind of right.
Yeah, my mom hugs me all the time,
Yeah.
and I love
My
it.
dad doesn't hug at all.
My dad doesn't have any arms, so no hugs from that.
You got some funny dad jokes on stage.
My dad is a
You really people
He's-
people really connect to what you talk about with that.
well, so my dad. Most of what I say on stage is true about him. He's just an old redneck who's just a tank of a man. Who
Michael's dad has hugged me enough.
yeah he's
Military. You need to describe your dad as military.
He's an
things.
ex-military policeman. He's an ex-college football player. He is a real hardline mean guy. And over Thanksgiving, this is 100% true. We were making food, like leftover food, and I was making like a taco out of some like leftover Thanksgiving food. And he walked up behind me and knocked my plate out of my hands.
You're still getting hazed. I love it.
yeah. And when I was like, what the fuck you did? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, Mikey. And he fake apologized to me.
Does he belittle what you do? He says, "Here's the comedy thing."
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
is
he
it
does.
hard work?
Yes, he does.
Oh,
Yes, he
that's the
does.
common thread. See, my mom is very supportive about it, but my dad, every time I talk to him, he's like, so are you looking for another full-time job?
Right. And you're like,
He's like your monster.com. He's
yeah.
like,
He's
just
like, how's the
forwarding.
job hunt doing? I'm like, I'm not in it.
I'm not at all.
I'm
It's
fully
not going.
removed from it.
It's not going.
And then with holidays approaching, you just have to prepare to not get offended because they just mean well.
I mean, they really
They
do.
just mean
They
well.
really do.
He's
He
probably
means
wants
so
to
well.
he wants to toughen you up
He wants
for
me to.
life.
He wants me to bench more. He wants me to have a stronger bench
Well,
press
he's
number.
right.
well, you can
about
do
that.
you can join my workouts at the gym now.
That's
You're a big framed guy though. Did you
well,
play football?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I'm not. He's one of those guys that's like naturally strong, whereas I have to work at it.
No, but you're strong. But you're smart. Were you middle linebacker?
No, I was a safety and a wide
Oh,
receiver.
safety. Okay, yeah. But you must have gone to a pretty white school.
Mm.
Yeah, because I did too. And if you're a safety and you're a white guy, you went to a white school.
Yeah. I played football at 3 different high schools because I moved around a lot, and the 2 that I played at first ended up playing each other for the state championship. But I was gone by that time, and they were both huge high schools, a lot of players, a lot of Division I athletes. And then I moved to California to a school that, like you said, very white, very small. And when I was in Oklahoma, never played it down. As soon as I moved to California, immediate starter.
Well, because they were like, oh, this guy, he's a corn husker
Yeah,
from the
fucking-
South. He's just
And
stacking
They
way.
were wrong. They were wrong. I was a very sensitive actor who wanted to be in theater, but whatever.
No, you found your way.
Indeed, I did. Let's
We're
talk.
happy for
Let's
you.
talk why the world's going to end.
We'll get to it, I suppose.
Well, look, my enormous pecs are
I love learning about you
a
guys.
good reason that it could end, but we've got some better ones
All right.
for today.
I suppose so.
So this is one that is tangentially related to things that everybody knows about.
Big fucking word, Michael.
Right. Thank you. It's related to climate change, and it is doomsday glaciers.
This is a good
We're
topic.
calling doomsday glaciers. It's a reason the world could literally end. Today, there are 2 enormous glaciers in Antarctica, an area known as Pine
read
Island
about-
Bay.
Yeah, the Thwaites glaciers. Am I pronouncing that
I
correctly?
probably.
That's in West Antarctica. If
So-
you're gonna
so
pronounce
Dave,
it like a
Galena-
douche.
I actually
struggles to
prefer
talk.
West Antarctica to East Antarctica.
It's a nicer
Oh.
area.
yeah,
It's a nicer
separated
area.
by the Antarctica mountain range.
Yeah.
I learned
Yeah.
today on the ride over.
And it is
Fuck the
it's a
East.
beautiful area, really nice.
You know, my stepdad spent time in Antarctica, which
Why?
most people can't say because like no one
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
resident there.
Why? And was he a scientist? Was
He
like a badass?
He's not a badass. He owns a sheet metal company, heating and air conditioning. They brought all these snowmobiles to Antarctica. This is in the 70s, and the snowmobiles got shredded by the ice. The ice was so hard that they couldn't go anywhere. So they actually like retrofit like sheet metal onto the blades. So he was like living down there while
That's
they
pretty
built
badass.
that. Yeah,
That's pretty badass.
and now it probably wouldn't. If it was in today's world, I don't think the ice is as quote unquote hard.
So, but that's
don't think
exactly
it
the
is,
point.
yeah.
That's exactly the point. These glaciers are enormous. There is enough water in these glaciers to raise global sea levels by up to, I think it said
10 to 13 inches.
Yeah, 11. No, I said 11 feet.
Oh, feet.
11
my bad. I'm
11
so
to
sorry.
13
10
feet,
to
yeah.
13 feet.
Yeah. Which would completely drown the state of Florida and all the coastal cities around the world.
Yeah.
And
Shanghai, Bangkok,
What's
Jakarta,
happening,
Lagos, London.
people thought
New
these
York.
glaciers could never melt because the ice was so strong, it was so thick, it was so much of it. But
And it reflects the sun off of it, so
Right.
the sun
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
But it's kind of like osteoporosis.
it's
It looks good on the edge, but in the inside, it's just porous and weak, and it's going to crumble.
and it's
That's like
breaking
my
apart.
personality.
Yeah, we call that a galena.
the Galena effect.
Doomsday galenas. So these glaciers are breaking apart. Pieces of ice like the size of the Empire State Building are just falling the fuck off into the ocean, and they're melting faster than anyone thought they could. And we're talking a sea level rise of, like you said, 10 to 13 feet by maybe 2050.
I don't know if people realize this, but 50% of the global population lives in a coastal city. That's 50% of residences that are in danger.
Right. That's a shitload of people that are going to be covered in water if these glaciers keep melting like they are right now.
Would we
Yeah.
care so much if the population wasn't so out of control? Because, you know what I mean?
I don't think global warming would be such an issue if the population
true,
wasn't
too.
so out of control.
So it's like a sick cycle.
This is Earth just
Earth
rinsing
reclaiming.
us.
Yeah.
That's all it's doing is rinsing us out.
So it's a reason the world could end, but maybe it's not a bad thing, because I can
It's
drive.
a pretty bad thing.
I'll
I
drive
mean,
my
Los
ass in the
Angeles
middle of
would
the country.
be gone, and New York would
I was
be gone,
one of the f-
Miami would be gone. Where
Yeah.
would I do drugs?
Yeah, that's,
I was one of the few fans of Waterworld, the movie.
There was like 7 of you. You
I
guys
don't
meet up
Yeah,
yearly.
I don't know where they got all the cigarettes from, but just do you know what I mean? It's like I guess there's gonna have to be like society on the water,
I guess so. And
cruise
so
ships.
to that end, we need to start planning a business to make money and provide goods on the water.
a desalination business,
Billions it could
Yeah.
be made.
just like
This
turn
is
it into
impending
the
doom.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're all for it then.
So
But
we're-
That Thwaites Glacier, though, is the size of Pennsylvania.
the size of the state of Pennsylvania.
And they're saying that it doesn't melt slowly, that it's one of those things where, like, it's going to be stable until it reaches something
Until
called
it's not.
the threshold, and then it's just going to completely collapse.
And so that's the thing. It's going to happen so fast.
Yeah, we
and
won't be
it's-
warned.
There's no warning that the sea level is just going to crank up, and it's going to kill a shitload of people real fast, and way faster than anyone thought it was going to happen. Because
It could actually reach, like, even Sacramento could be affected. Like,
which
that's how bad
I'm
the flooding
totally
would be.
fine with that.
Which is
I'm
in the
totally
middle
fine
of the
with that.
state, though.
Yeah.
But that's such a massive distance for it to travel, just because we're not like that much above.
Well, see, and that's the
sea
thing.
level.
People like when you hear the idea that sea level could rise by like 4 feet,
Mm-hmm.
you think 4 feet. That's not that tall of a measurement.
Yeah, it doesn't
but in
sound
reality,
dramatic, but it
when
is.
when you spread it out across the coast and what 4 feet actually means, that's insane. And so for 10 to 13 feet, that's devastating,
That's everything.
apocalyptic. Yeah, that's a real reason the world's gonna end.
And I wasn't even so. The reason they found this out, they drilled holes 300 feet deep into Antarctica, into the ice, and then they blew it up.
Yeah,
I'm like, why is that what we need to do?
kickstart the process.
All right, let's see. Stick a dynamite down there. I think they just wanted to blow up ice. And
Gentlemen, gather around. We have a plan. We're gonna measure how fast the glaciers could melt.
boy,
by
a
melting
lot
the
faster
glaciers.
when you blow it up. And then I didn't even know. I'm an idiot. I was always told Antarctica wasn't a landmass.
It's it's there, but it's
There's
kind of
land under the
there's-
ice.
Yeah, so the ice is the important thing, and when you look at a globe, it looks like just a bunch of ice, but there's land.
Good time to
Yes.
be Canadian. Vancouver, I mean, it's going to be beautiful up there. We're going to go up 10 degrees.
It'll be nice.
They've got the biggest like supply of oil. They've got it all, and they haven't even populated that whole. You look at a map and it goes, what is that?
There's an enormous amount of land. We can all go there.
Dave,
Texas-
are you low-key Canadian?
I get asked that all the time from the great state
You
of
do
Rhode
have
Island.
a Canadian vibe, and I mean
Chode
that in a good
Island.
way.
Yeah, I do appreciate the Canadian lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever you're talking about these doomsday things, I can't help but feel like anti-Republican because for some reason these issues come with politics.
They all point in one direction.
I just want to see a hard-nosed Republican that's like, yeah, but what about the coral reefs? Like, I want to see,
yeah, like
Yeah.
someone who believes in like conservative business practices,
'Cause it
but
fu-
also,
yeah.
Also is
Yeah.
down for recycling.
but it's not going to happen.
Why did it's just weird that it gets stuck to those? Like,
It
well,
is.
you liberals and your
Yeah.
glaciers, yeah, I guess
You're
so.
gonna die. The thing about it, like that's
it's going to kill us all equally.
we
It's not going to
try-
leave Democrats alone. It's
Got all
going
your
to drown
gu-
us all.
got all your guns just wading the water, the rising water with your
yeah,
guns.
you can't shoot them with rifles, people. You can't do it.
We try so hard to stay away from like directly mentioning conservatives and Trump, stuff like that. But you're right. Like it inevitably just points back in one direction.
You can be Republican and want the environment to.
You totally
It doesn't
can.
have to just.
Yeah,
you know what I
totally
mean?
can.
But unfortunately, we get stuck on these key words.
Yeah.
Global warming. No.
No, that's-
Well,
yeah.
maybe. Well, maybe.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Look more in depth, and maybe let's have another conversation about
It's hard to ignore the massive amounts of seemingly increasing natural disasters that have been happening. And I remember, and I'm sure you guys saw this too, but there was an article back when was it Irma? That was coming towards Florida that didn't end up being as bad as it was going to be.
I think so.
I think so.
But they were warning, they were legitimately, not satirically warning people not to shoot at the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bullets will spin back and hit them.
Well, now
in the
let
head
me
or
take a
something.
step back because
Boomerang bullets.
I appreciate anyone who is willing to go out
And
with a
shoot
loaded
a
gun
hurricane. Me
and,
too.
and protect me using their Second Amendment rights to shoot at a hurricane, because you know they're going to die first.
It's
and
good
that's one less
PR.
asshole.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
good.
You need a face to. It's like when they had the shooting in Vegas. There was a dude flicking his middle finger in the general vicinity of the
Right,
shooter.
right.
Fuck yeah.
That's a
Fuck yeah.
a great photo op.
That might not have been good in the moment, but that for
Looking back.
months. I mean, that's an instant. How many likes he got for that photo?
That's why he did it.
Yeah.
For the
That's why
likes.
he did it for sure. So these glaciers, man. They're
We're
gonna
very
get you.
concerned.
gonna get you.
Our next topic kind of plays into this, and if we took care of this would probably help.
Mm-hmm. But we're not gonna. So
Yeah. So there was an article. Let me find my place here. In the Washington Post, and the title of it was "Drowning in Garbage,"
mm-hmm.
and it was about how the world produces more than 3.5 million tons of garbage a day.
A day.
Mm-hmm. And if we don't act, it'll grow to 11 million tons a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually grown already 10 times over the last century.
And so the reason this is obviously a bad thing is the trash has nowhere to go, and so we're putting it in landfills and we're putting it trying to burn it. But what that does is produces more methane, more carbon emissions, more greenhouse gases, which in turn increases the speed at which the doomsday glaciers are going to melt. So it's all tied together.
It's all rubbish, if you ask me.
There you go, Dave. That's why we have
Hey,
you here.
folks.
That's why we have you here.
You know, the highest point in Rhode Island where I'm from is a landfill.
Is
That's
that
how
right?
flat the state is. Yeah.
That's
Can you
the
see
Johnson
it?
landfill. If you're in not from where I live. It's not 40 miles away, but yeah.
That's the problem with garbage, is that we're so good at getting rid of it, and sanitation departments and
It
stuff
just-
like
it's
that,
out of
they
sight,
hide
out
it
of
from
mind.
us,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we don't see it.
Yeah.
So out of sight, out of mind, and these are real issues that people aren't dealing with because we're not just throwing things out in the road. I mean, some people are, but
And we are
for the most
probably
part, we're not.
the most guilty our country, I would say.
So
We're
yeah,
pretty guilty
We're pretty
at-
bad. We do.
Who's worse? Is China's their renewables? I mean, I work in solar. The renewables in China, they're kicking our
They're
ass.
kicking our ass, and even in solid trash that we throw out, Americans throw out their body weight in trash a month, and a country that's a little bit more aware of it, like Japan, only does 2/3 of their body weight. So that's an enormous amount. So yeah, we're like the worst, I guess.
And composting, things like that can only go so far.
It
If,
only
if you
goes-
live
yeah.
in a place where you
Right.
can do that.
Right.
Wait, what's crazy is my girlfriend separates our trash from our recycling, but our landlord got rid of our recycling. So she spends all this time washing out all these plastics, puts them in recycling, and then I throw them in the trash. But she's like, I'm doing my part, and it's kind of
yeah.
true. It's like, what can you do?
That's all you can.
Because you can only go as far as the policies. Like, I'm sure more people would recycle and deal with things, but it's like we can't even throw the trash out.
Yeah, you just have no idea what to do or what's going to happen or where to start or whatever. But I'm glad she's staying busy.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's crazy. So it's not just staying in landfills. There's actually so much plastic in the ocean that by 2050, so 33 years from now, if we don't do anything about it, there's going to be so much plastic floating in the ocean that it's going to outweigh the amount of fish that we have in the ocean.
It's going to outweigh the amount of fish. So much plastic in the ocean that it outweighs all the fish in the ocean. And there are some fat fucking fish. I've seen some big fatties. So we're talking
big
a lot of
fatties.
trash. We're talking a lot.
You could make 300 laps around the equator using only plastic dishes, like plastic and paper cups and forks and spoons. 300 times.
It's insane. And they collect in like islands, floating islands of
They
trash.
do.
yeah.
They all get
But
stuck
didn't
together.
some kid, didn't like some 6th grader develop some renewable technology to help recycle this?
There's
It's
something
like,
like
what's
that,
going
yeah.
on? We're getting showed up by, middle school.
That's
Well, that's
embarrassing.
because I'm an idiot, and so that's totally fine with me.
Yeah.
The next generation, I think we should just depend on them to solve it for sure.
But do you feel like I feel like we're all just collectively waiting for Elon Musk to come out with the thing to
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's all riding on one person at this point.
I worship at the church of Elon Musk, and I pray to him every day.
We can do more.
And I know that he's going to he's going to solve it for us somehow.
Yeah.
My stepdad's one of those guys where he's like, well, because my girlfriend got a Prius, and he's like, yeah, but do you know what it takes to make that battery? And I'm
Oh,
like,
fuck off.
It's like, yeah, but I was like, you're developing economies of scale. It'll get more efficient. But I mean, and he's right. Like I've always bought used cars, and
Yeah.
I'm not an environmentalist. I'm poor,
Right.
so I've always bought I have an 04 Toyota Matrix. So like that's the best thing is to buy used. But also, I mean, we're not all living in Cuba where you just drive these old cars. Like
Right.
a Prius is a good option.
You can make it a small difference
Yeah.
as much as you can.
Absolutely. And it does help because I did see that we're recycling about a third of our trash, which is exciting and seems like more than I assumed it would be.
Mhm.
And in 2013, recycling and composting prevented 87.2 million tons from being disposed. So that's a big number.
So yeah,
We can definitely do more.
But back to Dave's point,
As we drink our water bottles.
out of plastic. and-
I'm not one of those I don't get offended, but if you ever go into a yoga class with a water bottle, they will hang you upside down.
They'll attack you. They'll attack you.
And that's just one of the positions that they're working
Yeah,
on.
it's
That's
shavasana. It's good to have an inversion.
But to what you were saying, Galena, so we recycle a third of our trash. But like Dave said, most of us don't know how or where or when or like what process is necessary to increase that number.
Mhm.
So it's like we do that, and that seems like the most that we can do right now until information or processes are improved, and so we're kind of fucked, right?
Yeah, it's pretty devastating. I have I copied down some lists though of who's the worst offenders and who's the best at it.
Okay, I bet Dave's the best, probably.
Not people specifically, states.
Oh, it's okay. all right,
States.
Sorry.
All right. The worst states for trash. I have the top 5.
I swear to
worst
God.
states
It's gotta
for
be the
trash.
South.
It's 100%.
You would be surprised. Here we go. Number
Or
5.
New York.
Is-
Worst state for trash is Illinois.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 4
That's-
is
that's all.
California. So as hippy dippy as everybody thinks we are,
No,
we're
we're
the
a
fourth worst offender.
redneck state.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
outside of the coast, it's all
Oh,
all
yeah.
red. Luckily, all
Yeah.
the population is here, so that helps.
So we're the 4th worst offender in
Okay.
terms of trash. Number 3 is Colorado.
But really,
Yeah. Number 2 is Pennsylvania, and the number 1 state for the most trash, and this makes perfect sense.
New York.
Well, I shouldn't say it makes perfect sense. It's one city that's doing all the
Right,
damage.
right.
It's Nevada.
What?
Yeah,
Vegas.
it's Vegas.
But those are all I'm sure Philly, Chicago, LA. Like you're talking, it's you're naturally if you're living in these cities, you don't have the resources to just take something to the recycling
Right.
facility.
And it's probably not even Nevada's fault because I'm sure Las Vegas is the tipping point for most trash, and Las
Oh,
Vegas is
it's-
human trash
It's
from every
human
state.
trash.
So it's not Nevada specific.
Yeah, that's everybody coming to Las
Yeah.
Vegas to be a total asshole.
yeah, more Florida's people are the trash. Hey, Florida.
Hey, Florida,
Hey.
we love you. Keep listening. Right
subscribe
in,
and
please.
donate. I don't know.
Right. Donate
But
whatever.
I also want to shout out the 5 best states for taking care of trash.
Okay.
Number 5 is Minnesota.
Okay.
Number 4 is Massachusetts.
Hey,
All right.
Number 3 is Connecticut.
What?
Yeah.
New England.
They're-
Thank you.
they're good at
All right.
recycling.
Thank you. Okay.
Number 2 is North Dakota, and number 1 is Idaho.
I wonder how that
Interesting.
relates to socioeconomic.
I bet farming
reasons.
is good for
'Cause
the
if you-
economy.
if
Or,
you-
I'm sorry, not the economy.
I'll just
the
say this:
environment. I'm
Yeah.
so
if you're
sorry.
living in the inner city, or if you're not making enough money, you're not worried about that stuff.
Right.
You're worried about this week's paycheck.
Right.
That's
right.
true.
So when we get to a place where we can all take care of each other universally, maybe we can worry about what types of plastic soda. I don't know.
Right.
It's just not everyone's priority.
Yeah.
That's.
And I understand
yeah.
that because when things are hard financially, you're gonna buy meals that are just gonna come with more trash
Oh,
versus
so
like
much
going to a
trash.
farmer's market
Right,
and
right.
picking up a bunch of fruits and vegetables and having less waste that way, because you can just easily turn all that kinds of stuff into compost.
So you're saying stop being poor.
I'm saying stop being poor.
Perfect,
Get
perfect.
your shit together.
Okay.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Okay. And then recycle those bootstraps.
And then recycle those bootstraps.
All right, there we go. So trash is a big fucking issue.
Yeah.
You
it's a
dirty
huge
Can you
issue.
dirty
bury it though?
bastards.
Like, what is burying it the best? I mean, that's what we're doing with the nuclear waste.
Right,
We
but
got to be careful with plastic. I saw that, and I'm so sad about this, but they're working on a ban for glitter because glitter is a microplastic and
it
pollutes
never goes
the
away.
ocean and
Glitter
it never goes away.
Yeah. That's
So when my
And
girl's
you know
like, "Why
that
do you have
glitter
glitter
doesn't
on
go
your
away.
face?" I've been
I've
recycling.
been
honey.
fucking recycling. You get off my
Sparkles.
back and you go wash those bottles.
Recycling this bad perfume. Okay.
Exactly. So
Um,
let's all do our part.
So the really the only answer is to find more ways to recycle it, because if you bury it, it's more the out of sight, out of mind stuff seeps into the ground, pollutes the rainwater, pollutes
Yeah.
whatever the
You gotta melt that plastic into like casings for solar power. You gotta
Yeah.
like integrate the two. Don't
Yeah.
just find what to do with it. Make it productive.
Yeah.
The technologies are coming.
Also, and if you're bored, burn the plastic and then inhale the smoke.
Less people means less
people
trash.
means less trash. So why
There
not
you
do
go.
that? Yeah.
Or plastic. They could turn that into wind pants. We could bring wind pants back into style.
So we got some
I'm
good
okay with
options
that.
here. We have some good options. It's incorporating plastic into solar and that kind of sort of technology there. We've got
More
just
recycling.
breathe the fumes and die.
Mm-hmm.
There's number 2. Or
Dying is always good.
Wind pants.
Did you ever slide on a hardwood floor with wind pants playing dodgeball in 5th grade? And
I've-
it just turns into plastic bit like into your knee.
Yeah, it's your the burn that comes from that is.
That's how you know like he's heating up. You've burnt your knee
He's
on
heating
playing
up.
dodgeball.
Yeah, so there's some
There's ways
options
to
for
handle
you.
it.
So it's going to end the world, but we just gave you 3 good options to help solve the problem.
Yeah.
All right,
Moving on.
moving on.
How about I'll go ahead with what you assigned me this week
Okay, and this again, I assigned these to you for a reason.
for a specific reason
Yeah.
because it's sort of my people's fault.
Mhm.
Russia is ignoring the ban on killer robots.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this. So
I found this-
the UN instituted a ban on killer robots, and
This
Russia
is
said
true.
nah.
Truth story.
Yeah.
All sorts of truth stories.
Okay.
Business Insider wrote that Russia will build killer robots no matter what. The UN has banned what they're calling lethal autonomous weapon systems, or laws for short.
Lethal autonomous weapons systems. Okay.
Are these
Laws,
like
baby,
drones
laws.
or they're just completely not operated by humans?
Well, that's the problem. Is
Because
that Russia,
we're so bad.
Mhm.
We're the capital of drone
Yeah,
killings.
we're drone heavy.
Not necessarily against it, but that's
Yeah.
just what we are.
Right.
I don't think that they're including drones in this because this is just like self-autonomous things.
So robots that can operate by themselves
Yeah.
to kill without any sort of human interaction.
Russia is saying that the main problem is a lack of working samples of such weapons. So they're saying you can't just ban the idea, that you have to give us specifics. And that's why they're saying they're against it, because they're claiming that it's going to hold back technological advances.
It's a strong point.
Yeah.
It's a
they're
strong
not wrong.
point.
I mean, there's,
Why like put yourself into a corner when you don't even know what you're being
Right.
banned?
you can't ban something you don't know if it's going to kill you or not. You have to give me more time to try, huh?
Thank you.
Huh?
Oh, good. We're both bad at
The new
accents.
James
fine.
Bond character.
Right.
Just a femme robot that murders you.
With a bad Russian accent.
We saw this in Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The
The
signs were there.
Holy Bible itself.
But even if the UN bans them from this, we've seen examples before of these bans and arms treaties not working, because we saw that the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria were using chemical weapons, and
Which
those were banned.
right? But
They
they were
used
sold.
mustard agent against American troops in 2016, and that's banned.
Right.
And against their own people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
against their own people,
Oof.
they're using chemical weapons.
So the point there is that no matter like any kind of ban that's issued, bad people are gonna find a way to get it, and then you got to deal with that.
You got to paint the borders, the lines somewhere.
I
You
mean,
got to obviously you got to ban killer robots, but then you got to say okay, but it also like what else does it do?
Right.
Right, we got to take care of all these things. And the danger with Russia is that they've actually been accused of violating something like this before. In 1987, they violated the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty.
Which is what?
Perhaps I didn't look that far.
Golly.
But
But
they
they
violated it.
But they
and that's the
violated it.
important part.
Right. So
But don't you get worried when you see these headlines? You're like, the Russia is making killer robots. Okay, well, but yeah, why? Like,
yeah,
what's
what does that mean
just-
exactly?
They
yeah?
just want to be at the top of the military.
Which is understandable. But if they are so, if the U.S. because you're talking about military stuff, you're talking really about 2 countries. Well, I guess 3 with China, but if we agree to the ban on killer robots, Russia does not. Russia now has an enormous army of killer robots, and that is a very real reason the world could end today.
Yeah, because then they're not even losing people.
You know, I
Right.
didn't even realize this, but Steven Seagal is a Russian citizen, so maybe that's why they didn't ban killer robots.
And also like a close confidant of Putin, so this could be all his idea.
yeah,
I don't.
I'll call my dad tonight and we'll
don't
talk
trust
about
they're
it.
that, man.
cloning Steven Seagal's
Oh, it's gonna be a bunch of
ponytails, just lines of
fat
killer
ponytail
roundhouse
robots,
kicking people.
Like, why isn't that a chiseled robot? Well, we wanted it to be authentic.
So you couldn't tell that it was coming for you.
It's got love handles.
All you got to do is take his sunglasses off and he dies. So
That's the secret.
that's the secret right there. I'm putting it out
That's
there.
how you beat killer robots.
Take their
You
sunglasses
heard it here
off.
first.
Yeah, their power. Grab them by the ponytail and take off their sunglasses, and you're fine.
Yeah.
So
Solve that problem.
yeah, easy.
Solution. There we
Yeah.
go.
But
I don't
it-
want to present you guys with problems without presenting you guys with solutions.
Which is
Yeah, if
exactly
the
what's
government could be as efficient as the two of you, this is
That's
just
all
like
I'm saying.
banging out the budget right here.
Dude, it's,
Solved it.
everything is okay if Galena
Subscribe
and I are in
and
charge. Yeah.
Give us 5 stars.
Yeah, if you give them a 5-star review, they will solve the issues of the world.
Yeah, it means a lot to us.
Do people realize how important the reviews are?
I know
They
don't.
don't.
I
No,
did- before I
seriously.
I'm going to
started
say this because I wish guests would say it on my podcast because it sounds less shameless, but you got to rate and review these folks. It's not, they don't need the pat on the back. It's all algorithms.
Exactly.
Rate, review, share it with a friend, and do them a favor. This is
Yeah.
free, folks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly had no idea that would be important to that until we started doing this, and I
It's
remember you
huge.
talking about it.
172 reviews,
Uh,
all 5-star. I got a couple 1-star. The bad audio one episode. Sorry.
Well, that's not.
But people can change your reviews, so it's important to review and leave a 5-star. Everything helps. If there's an issue, let them know the issue, but also give them 5
Yeah,
stars.
for sure.
You know,
For
we don't
sure.
need like this American Idol judge. You know, well, 3. No. They're fucking. These two are killing it. Give them a rating.
Which
Thank you,
leads,
Dave.
thank you, Dave. Leads nicely into my topic that you assigned me.
Give it to me.
So a reason the world could be ending today is that old 45 has decided to reduce the size of a couple national monuments, which are extremely important to Native Americans. And if there's one thing that we know, it's that you probably shouldn't attack things that are important to indigenous people, as evidenced by Iraq, Afghanistan, and the American Revolution for sure. Don't do that. So what he's done is he has decided to sharply reduce the size of 2 national monuments in Utah by about 2 million acres, which is the largest rollback of federal land protection in the nation's history.
Why?
They're saying that they want the land to be opened up more to development,
Drilling.
and commercialization and things like
Ugh.
that. So
Get that coal.
get that motherfucking money is what they're saying.
Whoever thought Utah would be a state targeted by Trump?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Utah's like, at least we don't have to worry about anything.
Here-
False.
Fucking almost immediately he comes after you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking an enormous reduction of protected land that is going to result in, like you said, more exploration, more commercialization of the land, and
More pollution.
more pollution and more glaciers melting fast. And so that's the thinking that his thought process, which I don't think he has,
I don't think he
but
has a thought
whoever
process.
told him to do this, it's supposed to be like a pro business move. But it really signals just we don't give a fuck about anything except money kind of move, and that brings about the end of the world quicker.
Don't you think
for
Trump,
a number of reasons.
He's just got. I bet he's got like a giant dry erase board, and it's just all business, and he's like one thing after another.
I bet he just writes the word business.
I bet
on
he
it.
uses an Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh, I hope no. He can't.
A Venn diagram.
His fingers are too fat to work in Etch-a-Sketch.
Fat finger, small
he just
hands.
sits there and shakes it and goes, "Here's everything." He like puts everything Obama did in an Etch-a-Sketch, and then
And
he
just
just
shakes
shakes
it.
it, and then he like comes.
That's God. That actually makes me.
But it's
pretty horny.
gonna juice the economy. So for the people that he's trying to please, it'll look good. But at what point? I mean, we have the greatest reserve of oil in the world.
Yeah. So like,
Do we
it's-
need to drill in Utah?
That's the thing. Like it's going to look good to the people that wanted it, but in reality, it just exacerbates all the problems that we've already just talked about: the trash, the glaciers, and it's just. It's,
Did he win Utah? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Utah
sure.
Super Red. And it's an unnecessary move that is sure to result in the exacerbation of the problems that we've talked about. And what could happen, and follow me on this, he's really angered the Navajo tribe. They're suing the government over this move, and I would love to see sort of an Old West style, a bunch of Native Americans get together and just start fucking taking shit over.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to have happen.
And we started to see that in where were you though? The what's the pipeline?
Oh, it's in
this
North Dakota or
Little
South Dakota.
whoever.
It's already spilled oil.
It's already spilled oil.
They were
and it's like
completely correct.
It's been less than a year.
Yeah.
they were completely correct. They and even if it wasn't going to spill oil, it's
They
you
were
know what I
still
mean?
correct. Yeah.
But you see the silencing of people, and you just wonder, fuck, like how strong is the media, is the agenda of government and things like that like it's already signed, like tax bills. It's signed before you even know what it is.
Yeah. It's
So some hedge fund manager in the Virgin Islands can get billions in tax. It's like, what?
yeah,
The problems that
it's
these
just
people
evil.
cause, they're not even around to deal with the consequences.
It's an evil. It's just a pure, just unadulterated evil, and not caring about anybody except your own checkbook.
This what he's doing now. It's when you're up by 20 and you have a breakaway and the other team's like not even defending you, and then you do
You just fucking
a
dunk.
funny dunk. It's like,
You lost
bro,
me.
you could have laid it up. It's just one of those like, really, you're gonna throw it that far in our face?
Yeah, you're gonna off the backboard.
Come on,
Tomahawk
you're killing
between
us
your legs.
already.
Yeah.
Us being the human race. Who's gonna gain from it? I mean, it's not gonna be privatized land, but it's on its way to being developed.
Yeah, so that's it's not privatized yet, but the idea behind it is the rollback of the protection of the land makes it open to privatization down the road.
It
And
sets
this-
a really bad
It
precedent.
really did.
And this could be the first of 50 times
Exactly,
he does it.
exactly.
He
Because
could do
there's-
this shit to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
can't
could.
stop him.
Dude,
We need to try.
that Grand Canyon needs to be industrialized. I've been
but
saying this.
If there was a big ass mall at the bottom of the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
I'd go
Then
there
I
every
would
day.
go.
Well, look, I
finally.
couldn't find a Sephora within 100 miles of the Grand Canyon,
that's the
and I
problem.
couldn't contour.
That's the problem.
I wanted to contour the levels of the canyon on my face, and I couldn't do it.
It's like, Dave, you look like shit. What happened? Grand Canyon.
Just
contour.
imagine Amazon drones dropping off your new blush. That's not far away, folks.
Not even a Rite Aid.
That's a
in sight.
topic that we'll cover soon, I'm sure. Killer Amazon drones. So yeah, so the rollback of these monuments in this protected land is a very serious exacerbation, which is the fourth time I've used that word, of the
Tangentially.
problems-
Big words.
the tangentially.
Well, devil's advocate. What would you? Can you? I mean, because I like to. I'll read an article and be like, let's see Fox News, and I'll try to read it from 3 different points. It's like
Yeah.
triangulating an earthquake. I'm like,
Right.
okay, I need to know
Right.
what's. How do you defend that?
The move.
Yeah.
Well, for what I've read is that people who live in the area, and let me qualify that as white businessmen who live in the area, and
Utah? What?
ranchers,
White?
and yeah, right. It's weird. They've been asking for this for years because they can't operate whatever businesses or ranches or operations they have. They can't do it in the way they want to because the land has been protected for so long federally, and so they've been screaming for it. And he is doing it to satisfy them and to again.
There's got to be a money trail.
The idea
Who's
is,
he pleasing?
Yeah, it's a way to make more money, and to if we're talking like grand scheme theory stuff, it's like create more jobs, bring more like a steady stream of income to the area, and bring up the whole area sort of together with the economy improving it.
More places to stash
And
their
creating-
wives.
Yeah.
That's it. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the wives have a lot of votes. They have a lot of voting power there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but you got to create more jobs, but play fair. Like, are these
But
the
you gotta
jobs you
play
want to create?
fair, yeah.
Like we said before, you're looking at China. I mean, you know what kind of jobs you can create where you're making renewable energy and things like that. I mean, there's
And that's-
sustainable
That's
ways to do
fucking
this.
infuriating because that's the way to do it, and instead they're like, no, let's drill back into the ground and find more of the stuff that we know is going to go away anyway.
Who would have thought that China, that some of these other countries, even India, they're going to be like completely electric, right? Who would have thought that they'd just be lapping us with this?
Dude,
I mean,
Good,
you
good.
see,
I
you
want
see the
Americans
Chinese
to be
with
embarrassed.
their masks and they can't even breathe. And like literally, I work in Santa Monica. I have to have a bandana on because there's the air quality.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have forest fires, but it's like when did we? And people like conservatives hate to be like, well, then why don't you leave? No, it's because we love our country.
We want to make it better.
It's because we love it. This
Yeah.
is we want to make it great.
Yeah.
We do.
but in a way that helps us, not that ruins everything.
We've been having a hard time.
All right.
Let's go to
We're gonna
Canada.
have a harder time because
You don't like it. You don't like our industrialization of all the monuments.
Well, I'll just
Move
fucking
outta
go to
here.
Russia and
Go to
build
Russia,
killer robots.
yeah.
Apparently, that's where my future is.
Yeah. Well,
Steven Seagal, point 2.
Point 2.
All
Galena
right.
Segal.
I have got a surprise. I've got a surprise topic for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a reason that we need to be aware of that the world could end, and that is that
HPV.
that we all have it.
We all have it.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep, and
Sure
everybody's
does.
gonna get it. What we didn't realize was a huge problem, but apparently is stray cats are killing people.
Meow.
Stray house cats are killing people.
Meow, meow, meow,
There's an
meow,
elderly
meow, meow, meow.
woman in Japan who's 82 years old who was attacked by a stray cat in her house. Like the
Aw,
cat got him,
honey.
and it almost killed her. The cat is being charged with attempted murder.
What?
And so if one cat can do it, all cats can do it.
Wait, the
I'm
cat
surprised
is
the,
having litigation brought against it?
That's Japan for you. So
I'm surprised the cat didn't try to flee the scene.
there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
There it
thank you.
is.
Again, that's why we have you on the podcast. Intricate wordplay. So
Cats, I heard though, if you like, say you die in your own home, a dog will stand with you until it starves to death, whereas
Right.
a cat will eat you.
will eat you starting with your eyes and tongue first.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that just
the fleshy, like easiest to,
Oh, okay.
to chew stuff?
Oh.
Jeez.
So the police said they found no traces of a forced entry into the home. So the cats not only can kill you, they can get in without you even knowing it.
They're amazing killing animals.
They're highly skilled. Their
highly
only,
skilled.
They
only
hate
job
us.
is to kill.
We have strays that my dog, he's a 55-pound basset hound, and these 3-4 pound, cats scare the shit out of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's right to
they-
be terrified.
Yeah,
They
they're
are weaponized killing machines, and they're coming after you. I didn't think they could kill people, but this happened. So here we go.
Now we know.
Yeah.
This is terrifying. What can we do against them? Catnip?
What you want to do is if you see a stray cat, you run directly at it and you kick it like a football.
They don't like water.
I FaceTime
Drown.
lived a cat giving birth
That's
in
horrifying.
my alley. I'm not lying. Living like Koreatown, center of LA. There were 2 cats that were local cats, whatever. They lived there. Next thing you know, by the end of the year, 15 cats. They've since all been trapped and caught and re-released and neutered or whatever. They don't kill them. I don't know. But
They-
if they do,
That's-
they're
so
wild
that's-
animals.
That's the thing. They can reproduce fast. They can give birth in alleyways in Koreatown, and they can attack anybody, anytime, and they're coming after you.
They're coming after us.
Yeah. So watch out for these cats, guys.
That's terrifying.
Mhm.
You know what else is terrifying?
What
And
you got?
this surprise topic for you kind of hits home for me because it's about Pinterest, and I'm an avid Pinterest user.
Of course,
Because of course I am. So there's been a lot of bogus health news on Pinterest.
such as like suggesting things that are healthy that it actually isn't.
Yes. There was an article that was shared 13,000 times about how boiled cinnamon and honey cures a whole bunch of things. They were suggesting that boiling cinnamon with honey
What?
cures gallbladder infections, heart disease, cholesterol, stomach flu, and arthritis.
This is like a recipe for medicine like from the 1600s.
Yeah, it's just crazy that people are sharing this stuff. And there was another one that said that alkaline water kills cancer cells.
That I had a.
I've heard that.
I used to.
People are sharing this.
I worked in an office, and these salesmen came in with a water alkalinization machine or whatever, and they were citing study after study that said that the alkaline water killed cancer cells, and I'm like, get the fuck out.
Well, it makes sense as much as anything else.
Why not? I mean, okay, why not try it? But don't step to me and say that that's a scientifically proven thing.
Yeah,
Come
no.
on.
I mean, look, if you're dying and things aren't working, try to alkalize your. I can't even say it.
That's a tough one. That's
Try
a tough
to just change your water. I don't know.
one.
I don't think that's going to do it, but that particular article was shared 16,000 times.
Cinnamon though, I could buy
1,000
cinnamon.
times.
Yeah. I mean, cinnon is
So instead of going
delicious
to the doctor,
and a
like,
good stripper name, but
Yeah,
it's not going to cure arthritis.
For sure. But like, so you have a gallbladder infection, and instead of going to the doctor, you're like, let me just put some boiled cinnamon on it.
Yeah, and the thing is, and here's why this is important to me, because I do turn to Pinterest for certain things. Like, I'll look up cold remedies on there. I get, my book suggestions on there. I get recipes on there.
Sure.
And a lot of people like me, we just go to it because it's an easy place to find condensed suggestions for things that you might be passionate about.
But you also know that you're not a doctor, and so turning
Right.
to Pinterest for health advice, like boiling honey with cinnamon.
But aren't you worried that doctors are in the pockets of people? I'm dealing with
Well, for
this with
sure.
my girlfriend. She's been misdiagnosed, all this shit. She's been given all these things, and it's because they're being paid by pharmaceutical companies to dish out.
to push the medicine.
And it's like, oh geez, I'm not saying cinnamon's the answer, but I'm just like, well, if I don't know if you can trust doctors necessarily. Obviously, if you have a serious illness, you need professional help.
Yeah,
But-
if you have cancer, don't get on Pinterest
Don't get on
about
Pinterest. Go to a goddamn doctor. But yeah, they are getting so much money to just throw pills at you that don't need to be in your body.
That just throw something else off with
yeah,
you.
yeah, and the side effects are worse. Of course,
Anal
than
leakage. What the fuck are we doing?
Which
that.
actually,
There's so many pins about anal leakage.
That's a
my whole.
fun-
I have a whole
I like
board.
that. The anal leakage board.
An anal leakage board, but Pinterest has actually had issues like this before. Like the site was flooded with political content that was created by Russia.
Oh yeah, all the fakes, like memes and things
All
like that.
over Pinterest.
And
They
you know
don't-
that
they don't
audience
really-
is so susceptible to it, and they're just
Right.
eating it up.
You got to
They
be
don't police
objective
their
when
own
you read these
website.
things.
They said that Pinterest came out and said that they rely on users to report problematic content.
But then you
So-
get 1,000 user bots, or you know what I mean?
Right,
You just
right.
trolls. Yes.
So tell me why this could end the end of the world, cause the end of the world.
because it's misinformation.
Yes.
It's baseless. It's ineffective at best, and it's harmful at worst.
Extremely harmful. We're
Mhm.
talking killing people because they don't go to the doctor, and then the information being spread like a disease, and more
Right.
people are dying. Because
And Pinterest says that it's only a minor problem for them.
Does it say that this shouldn't? Usually, there's a caveat like go to your doctor, but this might help as well. Because there's things
no.
like turmeric. There's all these studies where there's other
like
spices that
it
I don't
helps,
know if
yeah.
it's good or not. But if you throw it in your tea at the end of the night,
it couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
It couldn't hurt, right? But the issue with Pinterest is that it's like a place to find other articles. All it does is kind of link you
It's an
to random
amalgamator.
independent blogs.
Yeah.
So it's not actually policing any of its own content. And like I said, it's relying on its users to report things that seem fishy. So it's not even handling this. Whereas we kind of have heard about how Facebook is proactively trying to prevent fake news. I mean, I don't know how well they're doing right now, but they're at least proactively trying to
yeah.
refrain from
while
having this kind of stuff
while
get
they
out.
reward news companies for going quote unquote viral. So
Right.
it's like they're trying to prevent the news, but also rewarding the companies for sensationalizing things.
Right,
because you
right.
can't just have an honest headline anymore.
Yeah, but on Pinterest, it's just a free for all.
Yeah, complete. And the Pinterest audience is just, and I'm going to generalize here.
They're
but
a major sponsor of my podcast. I'm kidding.
I'm in that audience.
No,
so
I
use Pinterest
I have
all
to
the
deal
time.
with my girlfriend seeing her Pinterest board. I didn't know. We're not even engaged, but we have a wedding Pinterest board. I didn't know that, but yeah,
Dave, you're engaged now.
I guess so. That's how you know.
Congratulations.
I got
She
that on my
already
name.
invited all the guests on Pinterest.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just that spread of bullshit on Pinterest could cause some serious problems.
Will we get smart enough to realize this? Because we
No, we're
saw with the
getting- we're
election
getting
and
dumber.
things.
Every day we get dumber.
Yeah,
So no, the answer to that question is no. All right.
good to know.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to kill us is
That's
our
what's
own
gonna kill us.
lack of intelligence.
A lot of the topics that we talk about come back to the fact that it's based in just a lack of intelligence and
Yeah.
a lack of action to increase
Blissful
intelligence.
ignorance. If there's not a wildfire on your doorsteps, I mean, it's the
You don't
same
give a
thing.
fuck.
Like you don't run a 5K for breast cancer unless you know someone who. I mean, you just don't.
Yeah.
Until something affects you.
Personally,
Personally, you don't care.
You don't give a shit.
You don't start Live Strong unless your balls get cancer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Weird one. But that's just how it is, and we're all guilty of it to a level. But when you start to look at these problems in society, it's like, well, maybe we can become a little more aware.
But that-
Versus just be like, no, that's not the
right,
case.
that
Dumb
takes-
liberals.
That just takes so much action
Mm-hmm.
and commitment that most of Americans probably aren't willing to give. So, fuck them, right?
I don't know. We're trying. I feel like
you
we're
and I are
at least-
trying. And
We're
now-
trying
now-
to make light of this stuff, but
know- we
even
know
though we
David's
make light
trying.
of it and we joke about it, we should try to act.
And in the end, you could dig through all of our history, social media, and find us being hypocritical to
without
things.
question.
Absolutely.
But it's also, it's like, that's the problem with another thing with society. It's like, well, we're all trying to evolve as people, as a global conscious, but also individually.
Right.
So like, we've all done shitty things, but where are we right now?
Yeah, how are we making it better? And we're not.
I'm gonna go home and take my recycling out.
Do it.
I'm gonna take a long shower.
I'm gonna have
I mean,
Dave's girlfriend go through my trash and wash my bottles. I'll see you in a little bit.
code word.
If
Send
you
me
know
her
what I'm talking
availability.
about. Yeah, right.
She's a super. I'm sure she'll be like, oh, cinnamon honey recipe. Like she loves that shit. Loves it.
I love it too. We would get along.
But also, she gets an earache. She goes to the doctor. Like she knows
Yeah.
it's like okay, but
Yeah.
if I'm in pain,
She's not a
Right.
fucking idiot.
there we go.
You said you
We just need to try to not be fucking
Yeah.
idiots.
sure she's not. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We did good, and if you guys don't agree, then send us your topic suggestions
Yeah.
to whytheworldsendingtoday@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter, World's Ending Pod, and send us suggestions, and we're
Yeah.
going to use them. And also send us what charities you guys like, because we're doing this holiday thing where we're going to donate to some of your charities.
Shrinkthemonuments.org. It's a new
Shrinkthemonuments.org.
charity.
It's
that
a
I'm-
good one that we should all be focused
Yeah.
on. Dave, tell us about your podcast real quick. It's called Sex
Actually.
Where
like,
can people find you?
any podcast app or YouTube, go just
Mm-hmm.
search Sex Actually, Dave Neal. Yeah, it's been a real journey about getting to figure out how I like to be loved and how
Yeah.
I can love others. I mean, it's a simple thing. It's kind of I mean, we have truckers that listen. It's amazing. No offense to truckers, but it's like I'd be like, oh shit, you deliver a Pepsi in Virginia and you're listening to me talk about love, and it's just it's a conversation we all need to have to try to like limit the shame that we all have in our lives.
Right.
Like just
Beautiful.
fucking love each
Right,
other.
right.
So I'm an open book on that. So go listen to that, and also go subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rate us 5 stars. It really makes a huge difference. We got on the top of podcastland.com this
I saw
week.
that. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
Thank
yeah,
you.
conquer one of those websites at a time.
Yeah.
Right. As
trying.
always, be sure to see Galena December 23rd at the
I think
Alex
this is
Theater
coming out
in
after that.
Cleveland.
Are we on a show together tonight? Are you doing the
Tonight?
Flopper show?
Is today the 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
All
are.
right, well,
Well, this is long after this.
dude, we
this was
killed it on
weeks
that
ago.
Flapper show,
We
didn't we?
did great on
Nailed
that Flapper
it.
show.
I couldn't even follow you.
That show was awesome. You guys.
No one showed up, probably.
Wow, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
This should come out the last week of December, I think.
I have no idea.
Close it out if we still have society.
Which we
I've
might
lost
not.
track.
So if you, any dates you want to plug, feel free.
Yeah. I got I'm doing the roast battle tournament here at the Comedy Store. It's going to be starting in January and going through March.
Very fun. Very fun.
Do you roast battle?
No, never have, never will.
Too nice.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but they're
You're just good at
They're-
it. So you're like, fucking, I don't like
yeah,
this. but
I'm not bad at it, and they're dangling money in front of us. So
Hey,
yeah.
dangle it.
Dangle, dangle.
Times are tough.
All right.
Dangle that money.
Dangle that money.
I'll insult some people.
True art comes from people
I'll
paying
write
you.
puns.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to wrap up on?
Why you always ask me to wrap up?
I'll
on?
wrap
Why
it
don't you
up.
fucking wrap it up?
All right, guys. In closing, what I want to say, of course, thanks to Dave Neal for coming out, doing the podcast. Check his podcast, Sex Actually, on all podcast platforms.
Do that.
And if you are going to be the kind of person who goes to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, find me wandering the parking lot tailgate. I will be absolutely naked, screaming, and I will put you on the podcast.
Oh fuck, that's so bad.
I know.